Hey, it's almost springtime, but did you know black and brown people across the world are reconnecting to their roots and redefining their relationships to the land by gardening and farming? And Black Gardener Talk is dedicated to sharing those voices to inspire all people of color and maybe even some that don't look like us to grow by any means necessary. But sometimes we just need our own safe space to talk. Good morning, I'm Kamani Anku, and this is Black Gardener Talk. And my guest today is Claire Abilmona. Let's talk black, y'all. Wait, accept, accept. Here we go.
Hey.
Hey, Claire, what's going on?
Oh, nothing. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. It's early in the morning.
I'm
You know.
glad we are on the same page.
But I'm dedicated to this. I'm loving this. It's been great so far for season number 5, and it's a pleasure to have you on today. We're gonna jump right into it because I like to go right into it. The folks they'll catch it on the flip side if they are not in. But what is your first memories of gardening?
So I listened to your most recent episode before this, and I was like, okay, I need to start thinking about this. My first experience with gardening isn't what I think people would really expect. I was a child in New Orleans. I had my childhood home, we had palm trees, and some of those palm trees had dates on them. So that was like a less of me being an active gardener as a memory, but just kind of like experiencing the growing process of this date tree. It was a big, tall palm tree. And then my dad would harvest the other palms for churches for Palm Sunday. And so that was, and then we had a fig tree in the backyard too. So it was a really passive experience, but that's my first experience with gardening.
Oh wow! See, I didn't even know palm trees had
I know, and we never ate the dates.
yeah.
So I don't know like what kind of date it was or anything like that. That's how passive it was. Like literally just me remembering, the growth process, and that's gardening, really.
That's what's up. You learn something new every day, as they say. Because I sure learned something just in this first
Mhm.
1 minute. uh, but I want to go from New Orleans, date tree, Palm Sunday, wrapping these up to 2025 now, growing your own food. I'm saying farmsteader. I'm calling you a farmsteader. On your own place out here in Maryland. What has that been like?
Oh my gosh. Every season, every growing season has been different. We've been out here in Mount Airy for 4 years now, and we hit the ground running as soon as we moved in 2021. We broke ground. The land had never really been grown on like that. It's a lot of perennials that grow like on the outskirts of the property or the perimeter of the property. But we broke ground and we did raised beds. And yeah, it's just been different every year, growing more, growing less, having a bountiful harvest and not, it just fluctuates every year. Last year we added loofah,
No. Okay.
so I started being more intentional about what I was growing last year. Like, what are we actually going to use? Because you don't have to do it all. That's been a big lesson I've learned over the past 4 years. Having our own land is like you don't have to do it all. So grow what you really care about, and then you'll have a good harvest of those things. So we had chickens, the 2022 and 2023. We had chickens.
Okay.
It was a great experience. We gave them away for this winter. We just needed a break. So that was its own big
Oh,
lesson.
okay.
And I actually leaned heavily on the Maryland Extension. They have like a free chicken class,
Oh wow.
and that's a lot of my information from. So.
Oh cool. Let's go back just a little bit because you've been there 4 years. What made you decide when you decided to move to Maryland to become a farmer? What made you?
Yeah, so what led me there with a lot of people, the pandemic, we had so much more time and I had to learn a skill. And it also just made you feel so grounded and connected to something in such a crazy, rocky experience. And I had just become a mom actually in October of 2019. And so my life slowed down like 2 months before the pandemic happened. So it was kind of like alignment for me. My sister was like, you need to you need to refocus, and here's some tools. You can garden, you can learn how to bake. Like my sister really it introduced the idea to me, and I started with tomatoes like a lot of people do, and got into canning because I wanted to preserve the tomato sauce. And that at that point I was living with my mom in Southern Virginia.
Okay.
So I knew this is the life I want for me and my son. I want to be peaceful and grounded. I want to have this safe space. Um, and so, yeah, when we moved to Maryland, me and my husband were just like on the same page of like what kind of land we wanted, to be close enough to the city, but not in the mix.
Mount Airy is far.
It's it's far. So where I was in Southern Virginia actually was about an hour and a half from Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
So I didn't really feel like an hour, to DC or an hour to Baltimore was that bad. But you gotta like that's just me. I love to
Okay.
drive. I don't really mind.
Yeah, I don't really mind, but if somebody say, "Oh, you coming out here," I'm gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna
Am
make
I
this a
spending the night?
day, yeah, a day trip and bring my bag with."
We got a guest room, but we're working on like a whole little guest situation because we do have a garage that could be big enough to be like a guest house, but we get it. But it's been really, really nice and sometimes overwhelming to have. We have 2 acres. It's about an acre, or maybe, yeah, I would say an acre that we could possibly grow on. That's
Okay,
actually a lot
it
of
is
space.
a lot.
Like,
I have 3 acres, and I only grow on maybe a third of that.
right. So I'm trying to become each year, like I said before, more intentional with what I grow, but also how I grow it.
Okay.
So that's a constant learning and
Let's
experimentation.
talk about ownership real quick. How did you find this space? And where were you looking? Were you looking in the suburbs? Were you looking far away? Did you was looking for like at least 3 acres, 2 acres? What was that like?
So honestly, my husband bought the property before we got married, and I had never thought I was going to be a
Okay.
homeowner. So my criteria was, and I didn't really think we were going to use the land for our business initially either.
Okay.
So I didn't really have a lot of like land criteria. It was mostly just
Okay.
where I just wanted to be in a quiet place. I had went from being in Los Angeles to being in Southern Virginia, and I was like, oh, this is more my speed. Like
Okay.
it's just soothing for your nervous system. So really that was it for me. And then like I said, being between DC and Baltimore was really, really nice.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I didn't want to be too far away. And so even parts of Baltimore are only 45 minutes from me, which I love. And yeah, that
Oh,
was
that's
pretty
what's
much.
up. I mean, it is a peace and quiet, and then and you're raising your child. You want to raise your child in that atmosphere,
Mhm.
that environment. Talk a little bit about that because you are so far away. Are you homeschooling your child, or do he go to school? I know Avery personally, so I'm saying he, but that you homeschool or you sending him to school?
So right now, he is being homeschooled, but it's really unofficial because he was at that late stage where he's 5, but he didn't turn 5 till October. So we are sort of doing like a hybrid homeschool situation. He's with me most of the time, but then he also goes to a friend of mine. She has an in-home daycare, and so she gets to take take that burden, not burden, but like take some of that load off of me as a mom. And it's really intimate and communal. Like I love the setup that we have. And then he also goes to nature school in Frederick County. Their rec center has a nature school. So once a week he goes there.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm learning how to again not do it all by myself. And looking for resources outside of the home to support us and like curating his learning
And
experience.
that's a good
So,
thing because we need all options. And we're supposed to be a family. The time is now to really build that community. Which that with this administration and all this craziness going on, it's really time to build that community. So I'm glad you have that support all the way out there because you might have to be driving out to PG
right.
County or Charles County to get that support. So that's good that that's out there. Let's
Yeah.
talk about what was your first garden success like other than like seeing the dates and stuff, what was your first garden success where you was like, I can do this?
I would say, oh wow. I remember when I was in Southern Virginia and my dad had a cousin who lived down the street. We're in the country. Like this
Okay.
is Chase City, Virginia. A lot of people probably never heard of Chase City, but uh, they had his name was Cheese. Cheese had a garden and he let me grow some stuff there. And so I had a few tomato plants at my mom's house and then I went down to Cheese's house and his garden was amazing. It was already set up, but when Avery took his first bite of a cherry tomato, it was a little too acidic for him at the time, but still
Okay.
the fact that I was like, oh wow, look at this connection already happening. So that was a big success. But I would say when I learned, so that was in 2020, or that was, yeah, 2020. I personally, I have a new personal best or new success story every year. But
Okay.
last year, I learned how to build a bed, like build a farm bed on a commercial size, you know, property. It was still like a small farm in Baltimore. When we started building these beds that were like 100 feet long, I would never. I don't know, like maybe when I finish the high tunnel, that'll like top that. But
Okay.
that was
Talk
a
about
big.
the building them. What did you use? Did you use logs? Did you use trees? Did you go and buy the wood? Tell
So
us.
for the, are you talking about
Yeah,
for the beds,
for the
the
garden
farm
beds.
beds? So for at Black Butterfly, we dug trenches and
Okay.
we like by hand. It was insane. We dug trenches and we tucked in the landscape fabric, and that's how we did that thing. And we used I can't remember the name of this thing right now, but it's a machine that punches the holes into the fabric for you,
Okay.
and that that was intense also because even though it was still punching the holes in, you had to guide it and you had to keep it straight. So it took a lot of focus.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so
So this was
yeah.
a class that you took, or you just found somebody online, just going through online, and then you stumble upon it.
I got a job there.
Oh wow.
Like I applied, yeah. So that I guess that was a whole way of me beating around the bush to say getting my first farm job was like a big gardening goal for me. Like it was insane. So
That is
yeah.
amazing that you took what you love to do or found out you love to do and then got a job. I would say I have a similar story. My background is in television and radio and film and journalism. And now I'm consider myself a homesteader too or a farmsteader as well. And it took me a minute to get the experience to
Hmm.
get a job now where I'm kind of like running the garden and I'm doing giving out free food to the community. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
It feels so good when you make it there because it does take a
Oh
while.
yeah.
You know.
So from first success to what was one of your mistakes? Because we all have those mistakes too. Because we learning and learning. You said you had to give the chickens away because it was a hot mess for you. Now you couldn't handle it. But what was a mistake?
Yes, rushing consistently. There's so many different mistakes, but they all stem from rushing.
Okay.
And in this society, instant gratification is like second nature to us. We are just so entitled to having it all like that. And so whenever I rush, that's the first mistake.
Okay.
Um, getting chicks before the structure is done, putting seeds in, starting seeds inside when you know that you just need to wait until it's time for them to be direct sown.
Okay.
Those are the two biggest mistakes that come from rushing for me in gardening and, taking care of animals is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you too. I mean, I learned this on my own too. I didn't know when to put the seeds out. I still don't know when to put the seeds out. One of my biggest problems is taking a whole pack of seeds and dumping all the seeds at once. So I had cucumbers. Somebody said you should grow cucumbers and make some pickles. So I spread all the seeds. I had it seemed like a million cucumbers, and I was like, "What is going on?" Somebody said you put the whole bag. I was like, I thought that's what you're supposed to do.
So listen, that's kind of what I did with some arugula 2 years ago. But that was the type of mistake that I didn't really quite mind because I bought this big old bag of arugula seeds and I didn't know arugula self-sows. It comes back. And so I was like, well, first of all, I didn't need this many seeds. Second, I probably, yeah, shouldn't have dumped them all out because they was going to keep coming back. And then also, again, I think from rushing, you just, or from me, when I rush, I'm not considering all the things. I'm not stopping to observe. So another thing I'm thinking about is when I put some spinach in the ground in this little makeshift greenhouse that we have,
Mhm.
and I think it was actually a winter variety, but I sowed it in the spring, and it was hot in there, so it bolted. It didn't last, but this long, maybe like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and so that was, yeah. I
That
was
was
just
a
like, oh,
learning
I got these
experience for me
seeds.
as well. Planting spinach in the summertime is like they done got me for some spinach seeds, but you plant them in the wintertime,
Yeah,
so
that's what you gotta do.
and
Yeah,
I mean, I think it was a good thing for me too, and I'm sure it was a good thing for you as well because I felt like I used to rush too, and it taught me patience. And you can't be a farmer, gardener, farmsteader, homesteader, whatever you want to do. You gotta have the patience. You gotta wait for the seeds to germinate. You gotta wait for them to get to a certain level to cut it and eat it. And then, yeah, I feel like patience.
yeah. And if you don't feel like being patient, just understand that it's gonna be a wild card. Like that's the funnest part to me about gardening and farming is that you can, always learn, always gather information from whatever it is you're doing. But as a business owner, I'm learning to like really take note and record the observations and stuff so that I can really like save time and money.
I, I
But
hear you.
and I'm glad that, another thing as far as like rushing and instant gratification, like, people in our time, we always are rushing to turn like a hobby into something that makes money. And so I'm learning that some things are just for me and my family, or not even just for me and my family, but they're just not for sale. Like I'll share them, but they don't need to be monetized. Like it sometimes takes the joy out of it when you, yeah. So like
Oh
just
yeah.
honing in what is just a creative expression and what I actually want to like market. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh, I get it. I mean, I'm only in my second year of business, but I've been growing food for the last, I would say, 12 to 15 years.
That's amazing.
But then I wanted to turn my joy into something making a profit. But when I got into it, I was like, no, I'm keeping this for myself and my family, and maybe I'll sell this, and maybe I'll do this. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? So I'm still learning that business aspect of like what I want to see gardening beats really
yeah,
is. I mean, it's gone into a lot of different areas, but I mean, I'm happy right now, but I'm still trying to figure that out. But
yeah,
let's talk about your business.
yeah.
Break it
Woo!
down, Avery's Green Acres.
Yes. So we have gone through so many different phases, and I've been really graceful with it, like being very upfront that it's been a beta process for like probably 2 years now, where I'm learning what products work, um, constantly looking for funding, trying to be responsible because I wanted to be sustainable. So again, patience, because there have been so many times where I'm like, ah, and then I'm like, oh wait, no. But it's all learning, and I feel really humbled that um, we're finally on Etsy selling our salves, our herbal infused salves. Like last year for our business was a heavy learning period. I was interning at Fox Haven Herb Farm and Retreat Center in Jefferson, Maryland. I was working at Black Butterfly in Baltimore and just learning so much. And in that time, it's when I really learned what herbs have to offer in the large capacity. And I got to experience vegetable farming because there was a time where Avery's Green Acres was offering greens and produce and eggs at the market, but that was out. It wasn't enjoyable. I'll say that.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I have not done the farmers market, and I don't think I want to do a farmers
it's
market.
it takes a big effort from a lot of people.
Yeah, I just
And
don't feel like logging the tables if they don't have tables and all that pulling up. Yeah,
so
I
and
just
that's
don't.
it's crazy because like now in this third year, I'm like, okay, I do want to go back to the market, but how am I going to do it to where it's sustainable for me and my family?
Hmm.
And that's why I'm excited about the salves and our Etsy, um, you know, our Etsy shop because I can go to market, but I know that there's another way that we're being made available to people that don't live around here, um, in Maryland
Hmm.
or even in Frederick. So I'm accessible, but I'm not burning myself out.
And that's a good thing because I feel like sometimes farmers, well, this is my opinion, farmers and gardeners in Maryland sometimes we always focus local, but there's a whole nother slab of people out there that we have to reach too. When I decided to do this podcast, I was like, who am I gonna find? You know what I'm saying? At first it was all about me, and then I was like, well, I think people tired of my story. I know it's some other people out there. And the first people I did find for this podcast was outside of Maryland, which was really, really good because I saw, okay, there's a lot of different people. And then people told me, you're going to peg yourself in a box because you calling it Black Gardener Talk. And I was like, it's not that many people out there. I was like, if I can find 25 for the first year, I know there's more out there. And so, you got to always re-examine, but I think always looking outside of the community
Mhm.
is good too because you're building a larger community and then you can go global as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, being that I'm not from here too, like I've kind of been, I spent a lot of time in Virginia. I'm from New Orleans originally, and then I spent a couple years in LA. So I just had already a lot of people that I knew that weren't here, and it's like, well, I still want them to be able to experience what I'm making. And so yeah, Etsy is where we at right now.
Okay.
Just gonna start there. I've done a few, I've read a few articles that say it's a good starting point because it already has like a
Yeah.
base of people, and um, you know, every every platform is going to take what they can because they're offering something. And so I think that's where it's best for us to be right now. But I'm so excited to be outside at the markets. Like I know it's going to take a lot, but I'm going to pace myself and continue to be intentional. We're going to be in West Virginia actually for our first market on May. I'm sorry, I take that back. We're going to be at Fox Haven. They're having an open house on May 29th, I believe, and that's where I learned so much and really like honed in on herbs and herbal crafting. So I'm really
Okay.
excited to be offering my salves there. And then we'll be in West Virginia in June. And I'm still looking for other markets to join. So anybody
Yeah.
out there, Avery's Greens on
I
Instagram,
think
send me a
that, yeah,
DM if
I
you're
think
growing
that's,
a market.
yeah. I think that's a good thing, especially going back to where you got your beginnings, because that's feel like it's gonna probably feel like a full circle moment when you pull up and you pop out your tables and you put all your products out on display. It's gonna be, I know it's gonna be a feel good. Get you a bottle of champagne too.
Yes, that's gonna motivate me. Like,
Because I
let's
think
push
that,
through this market day, and there's a cold
yeah.
prosecco.
There's a lot of other people out there looking to go to Dreaming Out Loud website if you want to come to DC, and it's also the Spice thing, the Spice
Yes, Spice Sweet. I would love to
Suite.
go back there. I
Yeah,
missed it so much last year.
yeah, go and try to get in there because that I think that's a phenomenal setup over there that she got going on over there. Um, but let's talk about what advice would you give a new gardener? You've been here for a minute now. You in the trenches, so to speak. What advice would you give somebody who wants to be in Claire or walk in Claire footsteps?
I would say a piece of advice that I'm continuing to try my best to apply, but I'm not perfect at it, is write it down or take pictures or record it in some way. Print it out. If you're going to do pictures, because if you don't, it's going to get lost in that photo gallery, but record it, archive it as you go on in this journey so that you can always look back and learn and appreciate the growth. And then, like we said earlier, practice patience. That's a big one because you can avoid mistakes aren't bad, but you can avoid wasting money and time. Like, don't be afraid to make mistakes, which is a good piece of advice, I think, but also be patient because mistakes are expensive. I think that would be it. And just have an open mind. Like, don't ever um give up if you make a mistake. Have an open mind that things will grow and how they're supposed to.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say I was so upset or mad with myself, but spending money and losing money because I had to learn, But I would say also as advice, just never give up and keep going. If those collard greens don't seed, try them again. Don't give up. Also, as a garden consultation or a garden coach, I always tell folks to get a pack of seeds and then go and spend maybe a couple dollars on getting a starter plant so you can go between the
Yes,
two so you won't
I
lose
I
out.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that piece of advice. That's yeah, because starting seeds is like having a baby sometimes. Like, they can be very needy. So if you want to try it out, do that. But just in case, like you said, a starter plant is a good
Yeah.
idea. I like to do both. I really do. And then, you know, like I said earlier, write it down. Take the notes between how good do the seeds do once they're in the ground versus the starter plant, or how worthwhile was that for you to go through the seeds versus starter plant. That's what you'll learn from that
Yeah.
information. So,
Patience. You definitely will learn patience.
mhm. Yes. So much.
So GT Dillinger said great advice. So he's an avid follower. He also has his own Black Gardener Talk interview. You could go on to Spotify, you can check him out. If you want to see what he does, he runs a community garden way out in there. I was getting confused, so I'm not gonna say. But one of the questions that people like me to ask on Black Gardener Talk is, where do you spend the most time in your garden? Is it a place that you like to just go and sit, chill without Avery, without the husband, and just chill?
Yes. So rarely does that happen. But the first few years, the first 2 years, I would say I didn't really even sit out there. I really didn't.
Wow.
It was very much like I'm going out here to do something and then I'm going back inside. So I had to really acclimate myself to being outside, and that didn't really happen till last year. I feel like so we got a little chair table situation out there now where I can see it's right next to Avery's little dirt pile, which is gonna turn into growing space. Don't tell him yet. But we put the table and chair out there actually for our wedding. We got married in the garden, and we put the table and chair out there for people to sit and write in the guest book. And we just left it out there, and I love it. I love it because you can see everything and just observe the different cycles of the garden. When it's beautiful and abundant versus when it's all sleepy and and dry and crunchy
Crazy.
looking.
His
And you
buzz is
can
looking real
appreciate it.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
it looks, yes. Woo, it looks so crazy. But
Yeah.
that I'm looking out there now because I'm so much more acclimated to spending time out there, and it allows me time to imagine what it's gonna look like, which is really fun.
Okay. GT is in Oklahoma. I didn't want to mess it up because I couldn't remember.
I
But
never been to Oklahoma.
he's doing a community garden out there, Oklahoma. Him and his daughter. I mean, their Instagram is really cool. You need
Oh,
to
that's
check them out.
amazing.
But I want to talk about funding because you mentioned funding
Mhm.
to support your business, and I know that you had got a grant. See,
Yes.
I be on it.
I
You got a
did.
grant. How
It
did
was
that
my last
happen?
year was
Yeah.
my first year applying, and shout out to Imani because she helped me to apply for my Young Farmers Grant, and I was so lucky to have her help and to be awarded the grant because this was their last year was their last year doing it,
Oh
um,
no.
and so it was just amazing to be able to do that. But it just goes to show you need help. Like, I'm not a professional grant writer.
Okay.
And a lot of times people be out here selling grant lists. Okay. So let alone asking for somebody to revise it. That's, you have to be pretty courageous to ask that and to accept that help and everything. So shout out to her, the Young Farmers Grant. And then I also got a mini grant from Future Harvest because I did their beginning farmer training program. So
Okay.
that was really, really helpful. Both of those in, um, you know, getting this high tunnel that we're building and paying for packaging and paying for marketing supplies and all different types of things like that that don't have a quick return on investment, but you need them anyway.
Yes.
So I was really grateful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the grant. I mean, I've been successful too. I would say I do have a little bit more of a background because I did study journalism, so I do write. Um, but yeah, those grants do come in handy, and we need to share the information with each other so we can build and make those grants come
Yeah.
together and get it stuff
One
paid
thing
for.
I did year before last. Yeah. I started a grant tracker little Excel spreadsheet and I haven't added to it recently, but it helps you like if you don't have the capacity to apply for a grant, at least you know
Mhm.
about it. So you can go back when you do have the capacity for the next year if they're still doing it, and that helps you to feel like as a business owner like okay, I'm still building this resource even if I can't tap into the money right now. So that was good. I need to get back to
Yeah, I
that.
think we all need to get back to it. I have so many grants that come through my inbox. I do pay for a subscription of a friend that only charges
that
$10, and
look, no
and
shade to them. I'm talking about forty
yeah,
dollars
yeah,
for
I'm
one
not paying the
list.
$40, but the $10 one is
Okay,
very focused,
okay,
and I actually won 4 grants off it, so I feel like
okay. You
okay,
might
I
want
can
to
stick.
tell me about this
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I said, oh, okay, maybe I should keep this one for $10 a month. A
I think that
hundred,
sounds
yeah,
like it's worthwhile.
yeah, that one was worthwhile. So I was like, okay, but I do see some other ones coming out. Like, no,
Yeah, it's
I
a
just try to
lot
look
of
in.
it's a lot of like navigating and having sharp discernment for stuff like that. I feel
Yeah,
so. I'm gonna message
but
you about that
yeah, I'll
service.
send you the link to it because I get a referral if I get somebody to sign up.
Okay.
Do you
I love
have a favorite vegetable or fruit or plant that you like to grow in your garden, in your farm?
okay. I'm gonna pick a fruit and an herb if that's all right.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love watermelon.
Okay.
I love watermelon. It's just so many varieties. I get so excited every year. And being from New Orleans, being from the South, like the watermelon trucks and having my first watermelon, like my granny gave me my first yellow watermelon when I was a kid. And I just always felt like that was like gave me some cool points because so many people didn't really know about yellow watermelon.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I love it. And I can't wait to grow it this year and do something with the rinds because last year I did not. But it was our first successful. We had tried 2 years in a row before, and either we pulled them before they were too ripe, or a pest got to them, or I didn't have enough water. So last year was the first successful harvest, and yeah, I love it. I think I love it because all the lessons it took to get there too. Like it was not instant gratification plant at all, but it's
Okay.
so rewarding. And then for my herb, I love me some rosemary. It's so fragrant. It's good for pest control, and it's soothing. I just love to go in the garden and run my fingers on the rosemary and just that aromatic
Oh,
therapy
yeah.
instantly. Like,
I think it's amazing. So I had a little rosemary about this, and then it's bigger than me. I mean, I'm only 5'8".
what? That's
It's
gold.
almost 5 feet tall. And so it's crazy. And it bloomed a couple times, and I never knew rosemary bloom. It has this amazing purple little flower on it, and I was like, it's blooming, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's really great. What do you do with your rosemary other than what types of things that you use your rosemary for other than pest control?
Right. I use it honestly. No, I like to just leave it alone
Okay.
because I have baby plants. But I use it in tea. I made a 2 years ago. I haven't remade it, but I really want to. I made a Roy. I think it's Rooibos. Is that how you
Okay.
say that tea? It's a Rooibos tea.
Robio's
Ro-
tea, yeah.
Rooibos tea with rosemary in it is delicious. It's really,
Okay.
really good. I like to use it in cooking, right? In olive oil, like a dipping sauce, or like in a broth.
Okay.
And then recently I learned, like on a spiritual level, rosemary wreaths are good for protection. So I recently put a rosemary wreath in my car, just so that we can be protected while we're driving. So that's how I like to use it.
That's nice. I like to take it and put it in just a pot of boiling water and let the aroma just go through the
Ooh,
house, which is really, really good. You should
I
try
would.
that too. Because that's like a protection thing too.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
try because yeah, we have so much of it, and I need to. It's something that constantly needs to be
Oh
pruned, so
yeah.
it's good.
That's what happened with me. I didn't think it was gonna grow big because I got a starter one and it was really, really small. I didn't think it was gonna do anything.
Mhm.
I knew it would come back, but I just didn't think it would just take over and become like it's like a rosemary bush
Bush.
and opposed to a plant.
I love it. And then I love rosemary too for how easy it is to propagate it. Like you just put it in water for a little and it'll root. And there you have another one.
Okay.
So, yeah, back to the advice. If you want to be adventurous, go buy you some seeds, but you don't need to do all that with rosemary. You can not, you can just go get a plant, trim that thing because it needs to be, pruned a lot, and then you have so much rosemary. Some to dry, some to plant and share.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's what's up. Now, this next question, a lot of people make me cry on this. If you make me cry, you just make me cry. But I'm a pull it back if need be.
I hope I don't
But
cry.
how has gardening changed you since you first started?
Ooh, I can see how this would make you cry, or how some people would shed a tear. Wow, I would say it's made me more patient. It's definitely taken me out of my comfort zone, so I feel like I've become more courageous, um, and more humble because when you make mistakes, you're like, oh, oh, whoops. But yes, more courageous because I'm having to ask for help, and I'm becoming more comfortable. with making mistakes and not being perfect. Um, yes, I've become more of an avid like nonfiction reader because I like to read a lot about my herbs, and um, I'm also was I guess this is all like a stemming from courageous, but more like eager to try new things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up. You
Mhm.
didn't make me cry,
Good, good.
but
I
yeah.
tried.
I mean, I feel where you're coming from, and so that is a good thing. That's why I really love to ask that question. That's a question I ask all the time. But I want to know, how do you stay up to date with this new technology stuff and farming? Are you using AI for anything that you're doing with your products, your farm? Your social media? Are you using AI?
I'm not using AI, not for the business. Like I've used it to write my resume,
Hmm.
and perhaps maybe grant writing it would be helpful. But I haven't used it yet. It's very overwhelming for me. I remember one of the classes I took with Future Harvest, and it was a commercial farmer, I believe, sharing with us this tool of like crop planning. It was like an online database where you could crop plan and do all these different things to archive, the plant growth and everything, fertilizer, pest control, all that. And it looked really nice, but it was very intimidating for me. So that might be on my list of new things to try this year because I don't want to be wearing myself thin, and there's technology out there that can help me. I don't know if AI would be the technology that I'm going to go
Okay.
for necessarily, but definitely something digital. you know. So
That's
yeah.
what's up. Where do you buy your seeds from? Talk about that. Where do you buy your seeds and where you find them at? Do you buy them from black owned companies, the big box stores? Where do you get your seeds from?
Well, I get most of my seeds from Southern Exposure. I think, yeah, Southern Exposure is my go-to. They are the only seed catalog that I get currently, and it's so fun to go through, and I just go crazy. But this year I reeled it in. I believe they are collected in Virginia, um, and then also I go to the seed swaps.
Okay.
Um, this year I got some Hudson Valley seeds from the Pennsylvania or the Philadelphia Flower Show,
Okay.
some calendula seeds, but I bought my cayenne pepper seeds from Southern Exposure, and I'm just gonna do starts after that. Like as far as we're growing cayenne and calendula for our value added products,
Okay.
so I'll probably also end up buying some starts, but it's just fun to try to start seeds every year just to see.
Okay.
Um, and then I've gotten a few seeds gifted to me, like my loofah seeds I got from the seed swap, and I got some gifted to me, which was really nice from Sean. And
Okay. Big
um,
ups to Sean.
right, big ups to
I don't know
Sean.
Sean, but big ups.
He's so great. um, but yeah, there's a bunch of Black women-owned seed companies that I have saved on my Instagram
Okay.
tab. I just always end up going crazy on Southern Exposure, and then it's like, oh, girl, you don't
Chill
need
out.
more seeds. Like, let's reel it in.
Let's talk about these loofah, because the first time I grew loofah, I was like, I was shocked. At first, I was like, okay, um, I see the vines growing, and I don't see nothing. Okay, maybe I got some dead seeds, and then maybe 2 3 weeks later, it was loofah everywhere.
Yep.
Talk about your loofah
Yep.
experience
It
real
was
quick.
it was very similar. So I had started a few plants inside, and then I direct sowed some other ones. And yeah, it went crazy. I was not prepared. It turned into a jungle. Oh my gosh. And then I started them kind of late. Last year was our first year growing loofah. Started them kind of late. And so I didn't they didn't have enough time to dry out on the vine. But that's why loofah is so important to start it on time where we live, because we don't have as long so far. We don't have as long of a growing season. But I will say that might be an experiment that I do, maybe with like one loofah plant, especially with climate change. I like to see how certain things adapt to our growing zones changes. But that we got a good amount. If you don't let them dry on the vine, it's not a loss. It's just a lot extra work because they are full of slime. And you gotta get all of that out. You gotta clean it all if it's not drying on the vine. And that's a lot of work. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And the
Woo!
seeds. Oh my God, getting all the seeds out.
Yes. Getting all, sometimes you don't get them all out.
Yeah, I
Like
didn't
that's
get them
just
all
the
out, and I was selling a loofah to someone, and I was like, "Shit, it's a seed in there. I gotta get it out before I give it to them."
but you know what? That seed, and I'm not sure if you don't dry them on the vine. I don't think the seeds are viable. But if
Okay,
you dry it on the vine, like I had a few that were still out there through the winter. I'm gonna see if those seeds are viable because they in there.
I
You can
think
hear them.
they are viable. So I had so many seeds. So
Yeah.
I went to an event. I think it was last year, and I was trying to give the seeds out as free. Like, get you some loofah, get you some loofah, and I still had a lot left over. So I kind of threw them in the back of this space. I don't know if they got
We'll
loofah, but they might have.
see. We'll
They
see. I feel
might.
like cucurbits are so like like pumpkins.
Mm-hmm.
They will grow. If you just leave a pumpkin where it's at, you're gonna have a pumpkin plant next
Yeah,
year.
yeah, I think they might have got some loofah. I need to check in and say, did you get loofah?
That's so
Or
funny.
just randomly? That was me.
That's how I be too. That's my type of gardening. But yeah, the loofah, you do want to be intentional if you don't have a lot of growing space, like to make sure that it has somewhere to go. Because ours was it started crawling on the ground.
Yeah. Mine
Because I
was
didn't
on the ground.
I didn't
Mine
have
was going
time.
into the neighbor's yard. And I have a 6 foot fence, and it was going over the fence,
Yep.
and it was going into their yard. I was like, well, you can have some loofah. But
Like
one of
here
the
for your
things I
troubles.
did with my loofah that I think maybe you could do for your business because you're selling these herbs and products is I dyed them purple with purple or red cabbage, and then I put infused it with lavender, and I put it in some soaps, and I gave it to my co-workers as Christmas gifts. So I think
Oh,
that could be something that you could do for a product.
yes, I love that idea so much. We did end up gifting some loofah because it didn't look nice enough to sell last year, but I definitely have considered incorporating it into our product. I love that idea of dyeing it too. And when you said that, we had a pokeberry growing in when I tell you it was a jungle. So we put our loofah in a raised bed last year because we were going to
Okay.
trellis it, and there was a pokeberry that grew in the corner, and the loofah actually climbed the pokeberry. It was so fascinating, and you can use the pokeberry to color and dye things. So
Yes.
I might have to do something like that. And we also do have lavender. It is looking rough. I'm still learning how to properly care for lavender,
Okay.
but so hopefully we get more blooms this coming year. But yeah, I love that idea for the loofah. Putting it in a soap.
Oh
Wow.
yeah. Now talk about your products. Break it
Mm.
down because I mean we talked about what other products are you using? Herbs and vegetables and fruit mixed into it. Tell me about the product a little bit.
Yeah. So right now on the market on our Etsy shop, we have a calendula infused shea butter, and then we have a cayenne and turmeric salve. So the cayenne turmeric salve is infused with sunflower oil and beeswax, and that you really don't need a lot of it for it to take an effect. We recommend it for like achy joints because the capsaicin in the cayenne helps you to cope with the pain, and then the turmeric eases the inflammation. The sunflower oil is easily absorbed into the skin, so that medicine goes straight to where it needs to go. The capsaicin from the cayenne pepper, and it also has it increases circulation. So another way that that salve could be supportive is if you have like any tension in your body, whether that be like a migraine or just like a swollen, say like got a bruise or something and you want to disperse that bruise, it would be really supportive of that. I had a migraine the other day and I knew it was from tension, like I could feel it. And so I just rubbed that salve on my forehead and on the back of my neck, and those blood vessels just opened up and I had relief and I was able to go to sleep. It was amazing.
Oh,
Um,
it sounds amazing. How much do you use? Do you use a big
so we
gulp, or you just put a
sell it
little
at,
bit?
you don't even need all of that. I would say literally, is this it right here? Yes. Literally just like a little bit
Okay.
goes a long way. And I mean, like I was saying in my little reel that I made, I was like, we all be walking around here tense and don't even know it. So I feel like you can just put this on your neck or wherever you know that you hold your tension. Like if you have a knot in your shoulder, that's where you hold your tension. Just putting this on your shoulder wherever throughout the day would be really supportive and give you some relief. The calendula infused shea that we have right now, I would say that's really supportive if you have like any irritation on your skin, like a rash, or if you're trying to heal a scab. I would definitely use it for that. Perhaps even, I haven't tried it on sunburned skin, but I think it could be really supportive on sunburned skin once it's in like the peeling stage, or just every day. It feels so soothing on your skin. Like it's
Okay.
just a very calming herb, and I love it. It's infused with sweet almond oil,
Okay.
and so that also is a really easily absorbed oil, and it's not gonna like clog your skin. It's just gonna help retain the moisture from the shea butter, so you'll stay moisturized. And it's just those three ingredients. We have
Okay.
another one coming soon. I just need to take product shots, but
Yeah.
it's kokum butter. My neighbor actually introduced me to kokum butter, and I infused the kokum butter, or I'm sorry, I whipped the kokum butter with the sweet almond oil infused with the calendula. Same thing, but the kokum butter is lighter, so you can actually put it on your face. So I have psoriasis, and I like get inflamed right around here, and if I put that on, it's not going to clog my pores. It's really light and it's just going to soothe that irritation. I did put a little lavender oil in it. I'm still honestly trying to figure out how I feel about that because essential oils do break down like the barrier of the skin. I haven't really experienced, like I didn't put a lot. So it's
Okay.
still pretty gentle, but I'm trying to figure out how I really want to get the lavender scent.
Okay.
If I want to use essential oil or if I want to use blooms and see. So
Oh,
those are
cool.
the products that we have right now. In the summertime, I'm gonna drop a new hibiscus syrup.
Oh.
Um, yes.
I
So I
love
did a
hibiscus.
soda during the holidays. I did a
Okay.
hibiscus soda during the holidays, which tastes amazing. It's a ginger bug based soda, and so naturally fermented carbonation. It was delicious, just not super scalable.
I think
It
it's scalable if you meet the right people or in the right
I
space.
did look for some bottling companies where I could get it done there. And so I'm
Hmm.
not going to let go of that, but I like the idea of a syrup too, just
Hmm.
because I feel like it could reach more people. You could do what you want with the
Oh
syrup,
yeah. With the
So,
syrup, yeah, definitely the syrup. It can
mm-hmm.
reach people. I do at work have a hibiscus tree, and I tested it out on. So my job gives out free food to the
Mm-hmm.
community. So we have a lobby, and I tested the hibiscus there, and the people went crazy. It's just not like you said. Not so much marketable as like how do we get hibiscus? Where do we find this hibiscus? Is it at the local grocery store? It may be coming like a tea,
And
but not like
it's
the
not the
leaves.
same. I bought a
Yeah, it's not
hibiscus
the same.
tea, like a bag hibiscus tea, compared to the roselles that I was using. That was the difference. So the high tunnel that we're building, I'm going to be able to grow my tropical plants, like my cayenne peppers and my turmeric and my hibiscus in there. And so the idea, the goal is to have everything vertically integrated where, well, not everything, but have the crops be grown right here and then processed right here and then turned into yummy syrups and healing salves.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah,
I'm going. If you come to DC, I'm gonna buy me some that syrup. So make
I
sure you
got you.
have
I'll
some
let you
syrup this
know.
summer. I got two more questions and I'll let you get out of here. Do
Okay.
you have a favorite trick or tip you have picked up along the way since you've been gardening and farming?
Hmm. Oh, wow. Let me see. I
Mm-hmm.
think my favorite tip is to keep an open mind
Mm-hmm.
so that you're not too ready to give up. Um, yeah, so it's a mindset tip.
Okay.
Then I would say my favorite trick is hmm. Find a plant that you just enjoy being with, enjoy interacting with, like really. I love pruning my rosemary. I love watching my watermelon. So when you really enjoy like being in a relationship with it, it's gonna come out really good.
Oh, that's what's up. I like
Yeah.
that. Um, so if I was coming down, I think we might have talked about this earlier, but if I was coming down to your place to stay for a day, because people love to talk about the food that they grow and stuff like that. What would you fix me? Would it be a watermelon salad? Because we're talking about watermelon. What would you got? What would you get from your garden that you can fix me for a nice little lunch? Sitting in that new patio that you got overlooking the garden and the hot tunnel that's coming.
Yes, I would definitely. So it would be, oh, it would be a watermelon drink. It would be like a watermelon mint drink of some
Okay.
sort. But to eat, I would say some sourdough bread with some rosemary dipping sauce.
Oh, it sucks, man. I'm coming.
Yes, because I
Let me
just
get in
learned
my
how to
car
make
and drive an
sourdough.
hour to you. That sounds good. That sounds amazing. Rosemary dipping sauce with the sourdough bread. I love it. And my last and final question: what is the future plans for Avery's Green Acres Farm
Yes.
besides
Oh,
the hot tunnel?
right. Oh, that hot tunnel is literally like my biggest thing. What is to come? Well, we are going to be out marketing this summer, so this spring and this summer. So definitely stay tuned on our Instagram to see where we're going to be at marketing and when the calendula coconut butter is going to be available. And yes, also the syrup that's going to be coming later in the summer. So a bunch of new products coming to the market, and we're going to be outside.
Be
We're going to be in
outside.
Baltimore, DC, Frederick, West Virginia. So just stay tuned for that.
You heard it here first with Claire. But Claire, I want to thank you for spending this Saturday morning with me, talking everything farmsteading, products, grants, and all. It has been a pleasure. I'm just excited. I want to keep going for the next hour or two. But
I know.
we can't go. But I love your energy and your passion. And yeah, thank you for joining me this morning. Any last words, thoughts?
Well, this has just been an honor. Like, I've been watching you do your thing. We participated in one of your workshops, and I am just so excited to have been able to spend this morning with you as well. And thank you for speaking all of that abundance into our future here. And yeah, hopefully we can make it to, because this summer I'm claiming it to be a simple and open and available summer. So we're going to be at one of your workshops or hopefully one of your summer camps soon. So,
Okay, cool.
yes.
Well, I would like to leave everybody with live your life healthy, free from negativity, and as always, black people, we gotta stay dope. All right, peace.
Yes. Talk to you
All
later.
right.